Okay, so this will be the slightly more advanced layout video. It's not particularly advanced, it's just we're going to do a couple more things that might require require a little more of you in order to achieve them, but not necessarily making a better map, just extra features. So let's start by opening up a new layout. So new print layout instead of using one of the old ones, and we'll call this my layout, perhaps, whatever we want to call it. And we've got this this new screen here. I recognize this. Now, if we click on this blank piece of paper, we can set the paper size. There are lots of different sizes here, but so we're going to go for A4. Let's go for landscape again. So that's fine. But now we need to, there's no map. The more observant of you may have noticed that there isn't a map here. So let's click here on the, let's click here, the add the map, select move item. No, it was that one, sorry, add map. Get it right. So that one, and then we can click and drag, and we'll set that. I'm going to do something slightly different now. Let's do that. So there's our map. We look at that, and I'm going to make this a square. So I go down, position and size, and I want that to be 210 as well. 210, and then I'll lock the aspect and ratio there. So now that's set. Let's go up, and my scale was going to be the same again. Through that. Right, do I think that's centered about right where I want it? I think so. So let's approximately, yeah, that'll do. So what's more advanced here? I mean, that was just telling you how to get the map in there, and I can set the picture up here. I can have all the other things. It looks kind of dull. If I want to make it more interesting, how could I clip this map? Rather than just being square, if you're making a map for pizzerias, how about a pizza-shaped map? Just a suggestion, you know, it's not necessarily a great thing. Well, we have these shape tools here, add shape, and we can add an ellipse. And it would be nice to think that once we've done that, we can use that to clip the map. But we can't. So let's just get rid of that. What we have to do instead is we're going to have to use an SVG. So let's just select marker tool, add marker, and we'll try and set that in the middle to begin with. Add that there, click on the marker, and then we want to change the symbol. Instead of a simple marker, we're going to change that to SVG. We go down, and just to make life a little easier, if we look in the My SVGs folder, there's this black disk. We'll take that, and then and that's equal sized, and we'll make that 210 big. And we've got this black disk over our map, which doesn't feel terribly useful yet, but let's just stay in there. Let's give it a background. Now we can't see anything of the map, but let's click on rendering now. And we go down to there, and we instead change from normal to screen. And there we have our circular map. So all we used there was an SVG file to create a mask. We had to use a background, and we've used this screening. Now, as we can see, there's a little off. Maybe we need to adjust that just a tiny fraction. That's better. And using the screening, we've managed to mask out the things that we don't want. How that works, it's just, this isn't ideal. It's going to require a lot of work every time this is not something you want to do live all the time, but for making one map, fine, not really a problem, as it's going to be a fixed image. But if this were a live web interface, this would actually not be a particularly good way of doing it. It requires a lot of calculation all the time. A proper clipping would have been better. But this is a good way for us to achieve the same thing in a fixed map. And now we can start adding all of the other details as wanted. Now, of course, our coordinates are going to be a little strange. We might need to play with those a bit because they'll be laid around the edges. Maybe we should use a different coordinate system or a different marker system with crosses in the middle or something like that. But that's just one way of doing it. to create a slightly different layout. Now, of course, I used a circle here. That was quite a boring shape. If you want to use a different shape for your map, if you have some other idea of what would be nice, then you can create your own SVG file. So if we go here and look at here we have the two SVG files. Now, the one I used was this one called disk. We can click on that and edit it, and we can see it's just a very, very simple text file. This is for those of you who want to do something like this. This is not a necessary part of the exercise. So we can just look at this now, and we have defining this row up here says we're going to be doing something. And I said it's going to be a symbol that has a particular size with a particular background. And then we draw a circle here centered on these coordinates with a radius of this size. And the fill is black. I could have switched things around and done things differently, but it didn't. That's what an SVG file looks like. We can even look at this one. This supposedly looks like a parking symbol, a blue sign. It's a slightly more complicated. We've got a definition of the image that we're going to make, how big it's going to be, and then we've added a rectangle for a background with a certain color and description of how big it is and the rounding of the corners. And then here, the P sign for the parking has been drawn. Well, that's quite advanced, and coding this all by hand, dull, perhaps, if you don't like that sort of thing. The alternative would be to go to a website, say this one called MethodDraw, editor.method.ac, and this will create, help you to create SVG files. We can click on the tool there. We've got well, this is the page, so if we mark this, we can change the size of our page. This is the drawing size. If we only want it to be, say, 210 by 210, we can change that. Now it's quite small, but we can zoom in, doing that, and then we can add elements to this. Click there, change the color, say to, well, let's give it a blue background, okay, and then we can draw a rectangle there. If you want that to be a particular size, say 200, click there, and 200, 200. And we can add another element. Let's say we want to add something in the middle there. So let's unmark that, and then change the color to something else. Yellow's fun. No, that was the wrong tool. As you can see, this doesn't always behave as you expect. So let's just unmark that. Now we can take that, click there, and take some yellow color perhaps, and let's put a yellow disk in there. Why? Because we could. And here we can set the coordinates for this as to be in the middle, 105 and 105. The radius, let's make it 75 by 75. Good. We've got the rotation. That's not going to change anything. And we've got this line here. We can make that 0 so that there isn't actually a black line going around. That's a very, very basic symbol. Okay, and that's there in that image. We can then click on File, Open SVG. Sorry, we want the view source, and here we get the code. So if we just copy that, and then go to a text editor, such as Notepad++, open up a new file, paste it in, save that. I'm going to save it, so this is new.svg. Saved. There we have the file. So if we then go here, we can look at this new one, and the SVG files you should actually be able to open in a web browser. So we can look at it there. There we go. That's our file, and we can use that. We could use that as a symbol in our map. The other alternative, instead of this web page, is to download an app, Inkscape, which looks like this. And here you have a whole range of tools for doing exactly the same sort of thing. This is more advanced. You can do much more with it. You can do save to different formats and what have you. I'm not going to show you how to use this right now, but it is available. It's free, free software. So just download it if you wish. I think we can probably end that video there. So